Hi and welcome to the channel. Today we bring you a mono blue themed Merfolk tribal deck, Svyelun, Daughter of the Sea. We bring you a budget deck in the €100 range. Svyelun is a mono blue commander that costs 3 to cast, 1 colorless and 2 blue, so she is fairly cheap and easy to cast. She's indestructible as long as you control at least 2 other Merfolk, and when she attacks you also draw a card. Besides this, she also gives Ward 1 to other Merfolks. All of these abilities make her a great commander with tons of synergy and one of the strongest mono blue commanders. In Magic the Gathering's lore, she is the goddess of the Pearl Moon, and it was said that she created Merfolk out of silt and salt water. The art is amazing. Both versions, from Howard Lyon and from Seb McKinnon, are incredible and make for an amazing, good-looking commander to have in the command zone. This deck wants to win with the Go White strategy, pumping up small Merfolks and taking advantage of the massive card draw that Svyelun can pull off. The objective is to have a big number of small mana Merfolks in play in order to rapidly be able to pressure the board and make her indestructible. From there, you want to protect your board with control cards like counterspells or cards like Back to Basics and Equilibrium. In terms of card draw and advantage, we have Seafloor Oracle and Silvergill Adept and Sage of Fables. Chart a Course, where you can draw 2 cards and then discard a card unless you attack this turn. Tassa, God of the Sea, a non-Merfolk card that will become a 5/5 indestructible creature very fast and allows you to scry 1 at the beginning of the upkeep. Merfolks are known for having a bunch of lords through Magic's history. In fact, the first one that we are going to talk about is coming from us from Alpha. Lord of the Atlantis. An essential power 4 card in this deck, since we need to boost our little guys, and has recently had a great reprint on its artwork. As we mentioned, this deck needs a good bit of control, since we are playing only one color. As a mono blue deck, we are lacking some protection from white, ramping from green, and speed and power of red and black, so we need to work with that. Merfolks are very good at control, and a lot of them are wizards with lots of strong abilities. In terms of creatures, we have added Curse Catcher, Harbinger of the Tides, Kupala, Warden of Waves, Lull Mage Mentor, Master of Waves, Merfolk Trickster, Sigil Tracer, Surge Spanner, Tempest Caller, Tishana's Tidebender, True Name Nemesis, and Voldalian Hexcatcher. This deck is very heavy on creatures, and we have also included the following control spells. Inundate. For 3 colorless and 3 blue, you can return all non-blue creatures to their owner's hands. Almost as good as overloading a Cyclonic Rift, but much cheaper and bonus points for the team. Mists of Lorien. For 2 colorless and a blue, you can target non-land permanent and each other non-land permanent with the same mana value as that permanent to their owner's hands. This gives you a lot of control over what you want to do with the board, and is especially effective dealing with tokens that will just get exiled from the board. Spectral Deluge. You can return each creature your opponents control with toughness X or less to its owner's hands, where X is the number of islands you control. This has a similar function as the ones we mentioned and is very effective in this mono blue deck. River's Rebuke works as a targeted Cyclonic Rift. This can be used to deal with more problematic players at the table and also bonus points for being with the team. Instance. Aetherize. To be able to save yourself from an attack, a lot of counters such as Counterspell, Cryptic Command, Dispel, Familiar's Ruse, Negate, and Tassa's Rebuff. High Tide. One of the best cards for ramping in blue. Until the end of turn, whenever a player taps an island for mana, that player adds an additional blue. Mystic Reflection. You can play it for its foretell cost of only 1 and cast it on a later opportunity. It allows you to choose a non-legendary target creature, and the next time 1 or more creatures or planeswalkers enter the battlefield they turn, they enter as copies of the chosen creature. Rapid Hybridization. For your cheap mana removal, of which you do not have much in this deck. For Steal Effects. Tada, Adel Acquisitor. One of the most expensive cards that we have added to the deck. When you deal combat damage to a player, this allows you to search that player's library for an artifact card and exile it, and until the end of the turn you can play that card. Thieving Skydiver. It has a similar effect. This time, as an enter the battlefield effect, if you pay the kicker cost, which means you can pay additional X cost as you cast a spell, you can gain control of target artifacts with converted mana cost X or less. If that artifact is an equipment, it will get attached to Thieving Skydiver. This one's especially satisfying when you can grab an early game Esper Sentinel or Sol Ring. Vedalken Shackles. By paying 2 colorless, you can tap Vedalken Shackles and gain control of target creature with power less than or equal to the number of islands you control, as long as it remains tapped. This is a great disruption piece, and besides this ability you can use it as a politics piece and make deals with your opponents who don't want to get their creatures stolen. Now for extra turns. Wonderwine Prophets. This card has a champion ability. In this case it means that when it comes into play, we must sacrifice it unless we remove another Merfolk we control from the game. When this card leaves play, that card is then returned to the game. The interesting part is when it deals combat damage to a player, we can sacrifice it, and if we do, we can take an extra turn after this one. Despite being a combo piece for the only combo in the deck, which we will mention later on the video, it is a great card to include on its own since it will be fairly easy to sacrifice a Merfolk in order to get an extra turn. Enchantments. Back to basics. Non-basic lands don't untap during their controller's untap steps. This could be a very strong and disruptive card if played early and against more color-intensive mana decks. Taking this into consideration, it can make you a target very easily on the board. However, it is a great card to run on a mono-blue color deck. Equilibrium. This provides a good level of control and can open the way for a Merfolk to pass without worrying if they will get blocked. Deep-Root Pilgrimage. This is a new card from Ixalan's new set and also a combo piece with Wonderwine Prophets. Deep-Root Waters. A good token, high-value token producer with low investment. Miro Commerce. This is a Typal enchantment that also counts as a Merfolk, so it will count for Svyelun's indestructible ability and towards your Merfolk count. It is a Seedborn Muse for Merfolks for the cost of 2 mana only, so easily one of the best cards in the deck. Spreading Seas. This one is here for our Merfolks to be able to be unblockable since most of them have Island Walk. Also bonus points if you can create a bit of disruption with your opponent's ramping. Combos. As mentioned earlier, we have added only one combo in the deck, which is fairly easy to achieve. With Wonderwine Prophets and Deep-Root Pilgrimage on the battlefield, declare Wonderwine Prophets as an attacker. Deep-Root Pilgrimage triggers, creating a 1/1 Merfolk creature token. Deal combat damage to an opponent using Wonderwine Prophets. Wonderwine Prophets triggers, causing you to sacrifice the Merfolk token and take an extra turn after this one. And then repeat each turn. This combo needs Wonderwine Prophets to connect with an opponent and for a complete win, maybe with all of them. To help you with this, you can use the Island Walk abilities our lords provide in conjunction with transforming one of our opponent's lands into islands, which can be achievable with Tideshaper and Spreading Seas. Alternatively, you can use Tempest Caller to do an Alpha Strike and make sure all of your opponent's creatures are tapped and not able to block. Strengths and weaknesses. As a mono-blue deck that focuses more on an aggro approach and not in combo, as most mono-blue decks, it is lacking a finisher because it doesn't have cards like a Crater Hoof or Moonshake Cavalry to give a mega boost and push the win. It is a great control deck and it has tons of redundancy and consistency, so it makes it very easy to build up the board. You also don't have to worry about mana since it's a mono, you will most of the time play the cards on curve. Also, bonus if you can get that back to basics out soon. It is a fun deck to build if you like Merfolks and it is one of the best options out there. Some cards that would go nicely with the deck: Roaming Throne, Cyclonic Rift, Coat of Arms, Reflections of Littijara, Sea Hunter. In terms of the commander, you have other options out there like the most recent Merfolk Simic deck with Hakbal of the Surging Soul, Nikanzil the Great Conductor, and the popular Kumena Tyrant of Oraska. If you want to go for the new Explore mechanic, which is great, or the +1/+1 counters approach. There is also Sig, the River Guide, if you want to gain access to white, and Sig, River Cutthroat, if you want to gain access to black. We want to hear what you think about the deck. What card would you include or remove? Do you think this is the best Merfolk commander? Or anything that you would like to share? You can see the complete deck list in the video's description, and see you soon!